Hey. How are you doing? Well, this is the 34th podcast. Rambling podcast, that is. And let's get started. All right. First, let me address the obvious. I'm wearing a leather vest like I'm a leather daddy. I am a daddy, and I'm wearing leather, but I'm not a leather daddy. For those that are not familiar with what that is, don't worry about it. So, I didn't have a clean shirt, and I'm not going to wear my uniform, my work shirt, so there we go. Besides, I like this. Yes, my beard is slowly coming back. I'll eventually shave it off, maybe. Possibly, who knows. If you hear a droning sound, that's the heater at my feet. Now, there's a few interesting things I want to discuss. Not sure how long this one's going to be. And, last one went on a little too long. But, that's okay. Now, you'll notice the title of this one, or the description on some platforms, is Rock and Roll and Rathbone. Well, I would like to discuss the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think it's interesting who is and who is not in. I'm going to try to focus less on attacking certain people that are in, and try to focus a little more on who's not in. I did come across various articles or campaigns people have made to try to remove some people from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which, I don't know. I understand it, but I am, at least at this moment, more interested in lifting some up than tearing some down. But that's not the first thing I want to talk about. The very first thing I would like to talk about is Jane Fonda. Now, Jane Fonda, I am not a huge fan of some of her politics or some of the things that she has done or said, but she received a birthday gift. She turns 85 next Wednesday, and she is announcing that her cancer is in remission. She has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is not fun. I've had friends go into remission, and I've had friends not. But Miss Fonda said, "I am feeling so blessed, so fortunate. I thank all of you who prayed and sent good thoughts my way. I am confident that it played a role in the good news. Best birthday present ever." So, that is fantastic. I am always, yeah, I believe always glad when cancer loses a battle. hopefully someday cancer will lose all the battles and lose the war. Now, I generally avoid the getting overly religious. I believe that religion is a lot like blood type. Or, not blood type. Religion is a lot like your medical records. They're yours. You generally shouldn't apply them to other people, you know. But, being a person with religious beliefs, I always find it troublesome when someone is annoyed over thoughts and prayers. And I've mentioned this more than a few times. Thoughts and prayers. You lost a pet, as Tim Pool has or is in the process of. Terrible. You know, so I would send my condolences, my thoughts and prayers. You know, I may word it differently, different times, but it's not a bad thing. It is someone acknowledging your suffering and empathizing with you. Well, what are thoughts and prayers going to do? It makes me feel better knowing that someone recognizes my pain and gives me some acknowledgement that my pain, my misery, my suffering is, for lack of a better word, validated, you know, acknowledged, you know. Does it help? Maybe to different people at different levels, but it certainly doesn't hurt. So, you know, tsunami hits Japan and lots of death and destruction and terrible, terrible, tragic event. And it's like, thoughts and prayers. It doesn't hurt. So to all of those who do not believe in the religious aspect of Christmas, perhaps you celebrate Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, or one that I can't think of off the top of my head, you know, you have this time that you celebrate that. And when someone says Merry Christmas, it offends you. Don't be offended. If I've spent time in places that were predominantly Muslim, and you know, someone says, you know, praise be to Allah, may Allah bless you. I'm like, thank you. It's a very kind gesture. Nice. It's good. Let's not jump on the differences and focus on the, hey, you're sharing a blessing. Nice. Good for you. Today was not a very positive day. Today was rather negative. Today was rather difficult. And some of you may have had a difficult day as well. And it's not a competition of whose day was worse. We have a habit of doing that, like, today this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And the person you're speaking to is like, oh man, I feel you. Because to me, today, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Yeah, well, I also had this happen. I also had that happen. No. It's not a competition. Life sucks. Now, something I am guilty of is, I try to relate to people. I'm a little bit empathetic. Perhaps I'm an empath, who knows? But when someone shares something with me, my first reaction is to take something similar that I have experienced to present that to them, to show that I can relate and that I understand. And, I'm with you, man. Yeah, shit sucks. I remember when I was in a similar situation, it sucked. So I know what you're going through. That can easily come off as, oh yeah, I've been there. Already happened to me. You're not special. So, if in future interactions I do that to you, call me out on it so that I can let you know I'm an asshole, but I'm not that asshole. So I was part of a particular military unit. The worst unit in all of the military, on the worst duty station in all of the military. And for those, specifically the Army, for those who are like, oh, well, I think this is the worst duty station, I think this is the worst duty station, it can be a bit subjective. But there is one place that is unarguably the worst run military installation, and it has been for a long time. I have heard congressmen explain so congressmen are like, we spent this much money on this to track healthcare records, and 9 out of 10 divisions are using it. Why isn't everyone using it? And Joint Chiefs of Staff, highest ranking people in the military are like, well, that's these people. They wear their PT belt on the wrong shoulder. They don't do anything right. Shut them down. Disband the fucking unit. Dog-faced soldiers. They suck. So I meet this young soldier who's in the process of ETSing, and I see that patch on his arm, and I'm like, oh shit, son, you're giving me PTSD. Trigger's not, fireworks or loud noise. No, saying that unit patch, that's triggering. There is no combat worse, more emotionally traumatizing than being on that base. Am I being hyperbolic? Yes, but not nearly as hyperbolic as you would think. And there's this young girl who works at a fast food joint, and I've interacted with her on a couple occasions. Very nice child, right? Funny, goofy, and I have her name tattooed on me. She shares a name with one of my children, so it's just funny. But no, nice kid. And she comes by my work, not to see me, but just happenstance. In this town, you interact with each other at various places. And she's got this lanyard, U.S. Army. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Are you joining? Well, I'm talking to a recruiter, this and that. And this was my advice. And I believe it's good advice. And if you disagree, please tell me why. Because I think it's pretty solid. Go in the National Guard. See, you'll get to basic, and let's say you're really doing well and you like it, and you really want to be active duty. You would rather be active duty Army or regular Army as opposed to National Guard. Sign a little piece of paper. It is super easy to go from National Guard to active duty. But let's say you get there, drill sergeant shark attack you, if they're even allowed to do that anymore, and you're struggling. You're not feeling it. And you're like, you know what? I kind of want to, wish I did National Guard. Well, you fulfill your contract, and then you can go into the National Guard afterwards. Because, too bad, so sad. You sign your contract, you're there. Go from National Guard to active duty. It happens. Happens a lot. To go from active duty to National Guard, it's going to take you a few years. So that's my solid advice to this child. And believe it or not, she was actually considering that and was like, that's a really good point. Yeah, I think yeah. So there's my good advice when it comes to people wanting to join the military. At least the Army. Now, I wasn't a Marine, an airman, or a homosexual. Navy. So I don't know if it works the same way. I'm assuming it works similar ways. You don't see much Navy National Guard, I don't believe. There's Air National Guard, but Navy Reserves, Marine Reserves, that's a thing. So there's that. Look into it. Don't listen to your recruiter and think, yeah, they're telling me the truth. No. They are telling you as close to the truth as they have to. Talk to people that made a career of it. Talk to people that did not make a career of it, spent time in. And very important, believe it or not, speak to the spouses and the children and the parents of service members. And all of that together will give you somewhat of an image of what you might be able to possibly expect, but put most of the weight on the service members. And yes, recruiters are not supposed to lie to you, and most recruiters don't out and out lie. They just bend the truth a lot. So my advice to anyone joining the military, don't ask me if I think you should or shouldn't. Tell me what you want out of it, and I'll tell you my experiences. That's all I can do. No one can tell you whether you should or should not. And if anyone tries to tell you if you should or should not, their opinion doesn't matter. So while on the topic, of the military, I would like to bring up a particular soldier. Oh, and just to put it out there, today was difficult, but it wasn't any particular things that have happened. I'm sore. Work was not an easy day. There's a lot of work to be done, but things went well. I had no particular issues with any individuals being heinous or anything like that. It was just slightly difficult day. My partner at work was very sick, vomited a few times, and that's, awful. I had no health issues, just my shoulder is yes. So yeah, it's when I say difficult day, I'm not saying there was a big thing that happened. Just I was sore, my partner was sick, lots of work to get done, and the weather was crappy too. Just difficult day, but nothing major. So, my apologies to anyone that thought me whining about my day was substantive, was anything of substance. No, I'm just whining about having a bad day, but nothing in particular. So really not that bad of a day, I guess. Now, and my wallet broke. That's probably if anything particular, I put all my cards in a card holder, right? And it broke in half, so I need to get a new wallet. Which I've been wanting to get a new wallet, and it is Christmas time, but I want to get one of those card wallets, just a card holder type thing. And yeah, as you can see, it cracked. But that's my fault. I have a habit of falling down. My leg will give out on me, and so yeah. Cracked the wallet yesterday, and then today it just finished. Yeah. So really, no major issues, nothing, because, with the holidays coming up, this is a major increase in suicides and depression. And it is a difficult time for many people. And you'll see at the bottom, I went ahead and threw up the Veterans Crisis Line. Now, I am a veteran, and I deal a lot with veteran issues. I try to help veterans as much as I can, but I am confident that anyone, veteran or not, could call that hotline. Now, I'm a little bit drunk. I've got magnets, I've got dog tags, I really push that crisis line a lot. And I don't want to sell a lemon. I don't want to push something that's fake and shitty. So online, got my phone, called the crisis line. Within 30 seconds, I had an automated message telling me someone will be with me immediately, as soon as possible, and call 911 if necessary, or before doing anything. However, within a minute, I had a live person. Within a minute of calling, I had a live person talking to me. His name was Brian, and I was very upfront. I said, I am perfectly fine. I don't want to tie the line up. I was really just checking to see how quickly I could get someone. And Brian, being very good at his job and very much giving a shit, he was like, well, that's great. Well, I'm glad you're able to get someone. I hope that, might make you feel more confident with us, but what's going on with you? And I was like, oh, well, got some experience with suicide. I have lost more brothers to suicide than I have combat now. And that's not unique to me. I believe many of us have lost more to suicide than combat. Tragic. 22 a day. And I was just telling him that I really pushed the hotline. I did a 5K a while back for veteran suicide. Really have done a lot to try to raise awareness and raise money for with various programs. In the month of November, I raised, and it's not that big a number, so it's not bragging, but I raised $300 and something for DAV, and they matched it, and it went towards suicide awareness and prevention. So yeah, big deal. And I firmly have faith in this hotline. I've heard horror stories of people, tried it and this and that. So yeah, I called it. I've called it a few times now. And yeah, it's fantastic. I'm a big fan of this hotline. I have faith in it. But yes, holidays where so many people have real depression and really struggle. Me talking about a crappy day at work and my shoulder hurts and my back hurts and the weather's bad. It is absolutely wonderful that I have people like Alan who would reach out and be like, what's going on? But yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. I was just very, very busy at work. And my partner was sick. That's all. But back to a particular soldier who had real struggles. He had a bad day at work. But his bad day was historically bad. Almost feel like I'm doing a Count Dankula Mad Labs intro. But no. I am borrowing some of this from an article written by Jessica O'Connor, who wanted to make sure that Kara Johnson got credit for fact-checking. But no, I want to talk about Henry Rathbone. The man who tried to stop Lincoln's assassination. I know, weird lead in, but Union Army, or United States Army Major Henry Rathbone spent his life serving his country. And he was racked with guilt after he was unable to stop John Wilkes Booth from assassinating the 16th President of the United States. And his life is tragic. So, on April 14th, 1865, Major Rathbone, with his fiancée Clara Harris, First Lady Mary Todd Lincoln, and President Abraham Lincoln all went out together to have a good time. They went to Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., and they sat in the presidential box. And near the end of the play they were watching, trivia question, someone tell me what play they were watching. Near the end of the play, John Wilkes Booth, who is he is an ancestor, a family member of Drew Barrymore. That's right, John Barrymore, Drew Barrymore. So, John Wilkes Booth enters the box and fires a shot into the back of the head of the great emancipator. Now, Rathbone was a decorated military officer and a friend of the Lincoln family. He jumped into action. Now, it was brought to everyone's attention, a gunshot to the back of the head. So, jumping into action doesn't, the first, yeah. Well, he is severely injured trying to apprehend Booth. And after Booth injures him, he's able to leap from the back balcony, right? And man, this is not great writing here. My notes aren't organized very well. So, just after 10 p.m., Booth murders. He shoots Lincoln, and he times it with a punchline of a joke. Booth is a talented actor. He was very familiar and very well known, right? He actually fired the bullet and timed it with a punchline so that the audience was laughing, right? Now, in the immediate aftermath, Rathbone grabs Booth, and Booth stabs him in the chest with a knife, right? He parries the blow, right? And knocks it upwards, but it goes into his left arm, right around this area, about where my barcode is, and actually strikes the bone, right? And that's when he's able to break free and leap. So they carry Lincoln across the street to a boarding house, and the doctors try to save his life, right? And rather than seeking treatment himself, Rathbone and his fiancée, they help the First Lady to Lincoln's bedside. And about not long after getting her to her husband's bedside, he passes out from blood loss. And by the time he awakens, Lincoln is already dead. And Major Henry Rathbone was never able to forgive himself for not being able to stop Booth, right? Now, this was a healthy, vibrant member of the upper class society, but the guilt and the depression, as well as the physical injury that prevented him from living his life completely normally, right? Obviously, his military service is gone, right? There's various things he can't do around the house, right? He ends up resigning from the military, right? And he is unable to maintain regular employment. Something I can relate to, the neuropathy, the nerve damage to his arm. I can't lift this arm, woo, and it's yeah, that hurts. Although today's worse than normal. Normally I can get the arm out like that, whereas the other one's that. But he also had a neuralgia of the head, which caused heart palpitations, breathing difficulties. Sounds like panic attacks, PTSD. paranoia. He became heavily paranoid that his wife was going to leave him and take the kids. They went on to have 3 children. Because she witnessed his greatest failure. How could she actually love him when he's such a failure? How could his kids respect him? Why would she raise these kids with me when I pretty much murdered the president? With my ineptitude, murdered the president. Why would my wife stay with me and raise these children? Sucks. Now, Clara was so supportive of her husband, and she was such a good wife. In the history of American women, they have reprinted a letter that she wrote to a friend. I understand his distress. In every hotel we're in, as soon as people get wind of our presence, we feel ourselves become objects of morbid scrutiny. Whenever we're in the dining room, we feel like zoo animals. Henry imagines that the whispering is more pointed and malicious than it actually is. Mental health is a very serious thing, and I have to say, we are getting better at acknowledging it. Possibly still the most watched video on my channel is a very personal video where I detail some mental health. I have some mental health discussions. If you're struggling with mental health, please watch the video. Maybe you can relate to it. Maybe it'll just make you think, wow, at least I'm not that guy. But no, we'll treat a broken arm, but we won't treat a broken arm. In an effort to start fresh, the Rathbone family moved to Germany in 1883. They fled the country because of journalists, curious people, and in the early days, like 300-400 years ago when I was young, I noticed that when people say thank you for your service, I had like a visceral, angry reaction. I didn't act on it. I was always trying to be gracious. But that's weird. Like, why would you be angry at someone thanking you? Long explanations, and it's different for everyone, but yeah. It is, I can easily understand how Rathbone, everyone's like, oh, that's the guy that was with the president when he died. And he's hearing, that's the motherfucker that murdered the great president. Piece of shit. And people like, hey, Major Rathbone, you're a hero. Thank you for all that you've done. And he's like, listen how sarcastic they are. They're mocking me. I can see it. So fled the country, moved to Germany. Now, Clara, she was hoping that the international move would benefit the family. And it didn't. Being taken out of familiar setting to a whole new place, a place where the language is changed, right? Not changed like they changed language, but a language, they're different from where they've come from. Everything's different. So what few things he did have to hold on to, the few friends he could relate to, the places he could walk to get peace. Everything's gone. Yes, he got rid of the bad, got rid of the good too. So his descent into madness hastened. He became more paranoid and more angry. Now, Dr. G.W. Pope, the man who attended to Rathbone and treated his injuries on the night of the assassination, he went on to say, where's my tobacco? He went on to say in a letter, "The Major was never thoroughly himself after that night. I have no hesitation in affirming that the dreaded tragedy which preyed upon his nervous and impressionable temperament for many years laid the seeds of that," spoiler, mania. On December 23rd, 1883, his mental health deteriorated to a point where he did the worst possible. He grabbed his revolver, went into his children's bedroom, and Clara, who was a good wife and a good mother, and did everything she could to help her husband. She distracted him, beckoned him into their bedroom, closed the door, and stood between him and the door. And Rathbone attacked her, shooting her several times before repeatedly stabbing her to ensure she was dead. And then he took the knife and he stabbed himself in the chest 5 times to take his own life. Rathbone survived. He survived. And they never prosecuted him for the murder of his wife and what would have been the murder of his children. He was sent to a provincial insane asylum where he remained locked up for 30 years until his death on August 14th, 1911. So while the assassination of Lincoln was tragic, and it strongly affected the Lincoln family, the nation as a whole, and history was changed, we often forget about Major Rathbone and how it destroyed him and his family. Cheerful as fuck. And again, I want to say thank you to Jessica O'Connor. I don't know the person. I just read her article and it inspired me to throw this in my podcast. And I used sections of her article. And she wanted to, on her article, point out that Kara Johnson did the editing. Now this was published on October 3rd, 2022. Definitely check out Google Jessica O'Connor and read her articles. I think it was well written. my bad paraphrasing and rambling is not a good representation of that. But yeah, it's a tragedy within a tragedy. You know? I mean, the assassination of the President of the United States of America is a big fucking deal. And it's such a huge thing that it overshadows this other horrific tragedy. December 8th is the day John Lennon was murdered. It's also his birthday. Yeah. He was murdered on his 40th birthday. So it kinda fucking kills his birthday, you know? Like, well, kills him on his birthday. So yeah, like, you want to celebrate his birthday, you're also celebrating the anniversary of his death. Like, damn. So, for all the big John Lennon fans are like, hey, let's celebrate his birthday and mourn his loss. I don't know, maybe you should, like, celebrate his wedding anniversary or something. So you can have a happy day. Because his birthday's a day of mourning as well. Ugh. Awful. So, let's go from that to something simple and not depressing at all. I'm a big fan of civics. I really wanted to be a school teacher. When I got out of the Army, used GI Bill to go to school, so I could be a teacher. Damn, Daisy, that's a nasty fart. I've got I have a half fucking Chihuahua, half Jack Russell. This dog is like 7 pounds. And she can generate farts that will peel the paint off of every wall of a fucking football stadium. She's a sweet girl, though. Anyways, I decided that I could not teach school. I am way too passionate about history and civics and the good and the bad. Right? Yes. The Emancipation Proclamation is beautiful and wonderful and should be celebrated. But we should also remember that it only freed the slaves in the South. It didn't free the slaves in the North. And yes, there were slaves in the North. George Washington was a great man, but he wasn't perfect. Thomas Jefferson was an even greater man, but he wasn't perfect. Although, now, George Washington was a military man, whereas Thomas Jefferson was a farmer and an inventor and a great legal mind and an author. We often shit on Thomas Jefferson because he owned slaves. And there is no scenario where owning a person is right. Ever. But Cassius Clay and Thomas Jefferson have something in common. Cassius Clay, not the boxer, but the abolitionist. They both owned slaves and opposed slavery. they never treated their slaves as though they were slaves. They treated them as friends and family. Thomas Jefferson had many children with his beloved, who was a black woman that he legally owned. But these people were protected from awful, terrible people, and had good lives with someone who respected and loved them. So, while I love history and I love teaching, I do, I just don't want to play the games of covering this up and covering that up, and emphasizing this. No. So yeah. By the way, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali was named after a fellow Kentuckian who built he basically built a town for his slaves so that they could live normal, healthy, happy lives. And because they were his property, other assholes couldn't be like, hey, don't tell my property what they can and can't do. It's awful. But let's not lump him in the same category as these evil racist pricks. For the record. Yeah. If I wasn't already permanently demonetized, this would be what would get me in trouble. I want to mention the 9th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Right? I love the Constitution. And I chose to bring up 2 amendments of the Constitution for this podcast. One, I think, is wonderful and great, and I'm a huge fan of this. Another one, I'm against it. I don't like it. I think it's a bad amendment that should be repealed. Much like the 18th Amendment was repealed with the 21st Amendment. I believe there is an amendment that I want repealed, I should say. But first, I want to talk about a less well-known, wonderful amendment. And it's in the Bill of Rights. And it's the 9th Amendment. Now, to touch on controversy, Roe v. Wade. Whether you are pro-choice or pro-life does not affect the legal opinion of Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was a bad ruling based on the 14th Amendment. It was a bad ruling. Now, as someone who is pro-choice, I would argue the 4th Amendment and say that one has rights to their medical privacy, and the government should not be able to make rules on that. And then, as someone who would be pro-life, I would argue that it should be regulated. The doctors cannot perform procedures that are illegal. But to me, as a citizen, The government has no right to say what medical procedures I can and can't get. The government has a right to tell the doctors what medical procedures they can and cannot perform, sure. But that shouldn't be determined by attorneys. My thoughts on this. But the Ninth Amendment does have a little application when it comes to abortion. But to keep it, to kiss it, right? Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. The Ninth Amendment states, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Okay. Now, this is a long time ago, language changed, and that is written very specifically, but not simply. So it provides that the enumeration, or when you take, let's use Second Amendment as an example. Second Amendment, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, right? Well, when you take the whole amendment, you break down word by word, you start finding loopholes. Gotcha. Enumeration is when you take the overall thing and you put it in a listicle, right? Well, there's this part and then there's this part. You break it down so that you can have a detailed description and explanation. Not unlike what I'm doing now. The Ninth Amendment provides that the enumeration, breaking it down and listing, of certain rights in the Constitution should not be construed to mean that the Constitution does not protect rights that are not enumerated, right? The amendment was included in the Bill of Rights to address fears that expressly protecting certain rights might be misinterpreted implicitly to sanction the infringement of others. So, to try to say that in human words, the Second Amendment guarantees the right to bear arms. It shall not be infringed, right? That's, whether you agree or disagree, that's what it says, and that's what the law. But where is the amendment that guarantees medical procedures? There isn't one. Oh, so does that mean that those are not protected? No. Just because the Constitution does not specify that gay marriage is legal does not mean that the Constitution doesn't protect gay marriage. The Constitution is fairly clear that you have to treat everyone equally, right? There are no second-class citizens. We no longer have slaves. We no longer have a tiered system, right? That shit's wrong. It's illegal. Can't be done. So to say, well, people of this race have this, and people of this race have that, and people of this or no, you can't do that. You can't. But there is no specification of this specific thing. No, because if we made a list of everything that is allowed and what's not on this list is illegal, it'd be a clusterfuck. No, unless the Constitution says you cannot fucking do this, then it's up to debate on whether or not you can or can't. And that's why you use the amendments of the Constitution to argue whether you can or can't. And Roe v. Wade was a bad decision. Using the 14th Amendment was wrong. I would have used the 4th. The government had no right to know what medical procedures I get done. Well, we think this medical procedure is wrong. Well, how the fuck would you know what medical procedure I got done? Unless you're illegally searching my papers, my property. Like, no, my papers are mine. My medical records are mine and mine alone. No. You can't just be like, oh, you get this procedure done. That's illegal. Motherfucker, how do you know? Unless you're going through my medical records, which you don't have access to. Legally, by the 4th Amendment. That would be my stance. That's what I would have gone with. But they did 14th, and it was a compromise, and they weekly, it was a weak, casual agreement. But my first wife, who is staunch pro-abortion. Now, I'm pro-choice. My personal stance on abortion should have no effect on the legal aspect of it. I mean, if we're going by what I personally believe, then I think sauerkraut should be outlawed. And those who serve sauerkraut at a dinner table should face extreme punishment. Extreme. But that's not the way it should be. So we really need to take your opinion on that procedure out of the equation as to whether or not the government should be involved. I think just putting that word in the topic makes it a lose-lose scenario. How about we can argue whether we get medical autonomy or not? So the left will concede that you can't force medical procedures on the right, if the right will concede that you can't prevent the left from getting medical procedures done. Ooh. Now it's not even a discussion on the A word. But yeah, I think the 9th Amendment is an important one that we forget about. It's a big deal, right? Don't use the 2nd Amendment that guarantees our right to bear arms as an argument in gay marriage. Why would you? Oh, well, because the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. So, obviously, there's no right to marriage. Okay. I'll go with that. There is no legal right protected in the Constitution to be married. There is, however, protection against the government providing services to one and not the other. So we could do like Canada, and like the government's not really involved in marriage, period. Like there's no benefit to being married. I don't know why there's a marriage license and tax breaks and all this. I don't know why the government's involved in marriage, period. I think if you getting married is between you and your partner and whatever religious or cultural person is going to provide the ceremony, boom. What the fuck's the government have to do with it? And there you go. Also my stance on medical procedures. That's the 9th Amendment, boys and girls. If you were already familiar with the Ninth Amendment, I'm impressed. I am very, very glad that you were. And this may not have taught you anything, but hopefully it inspired you to share your thoughts on the Ninth Amendment with others. I'm going to come back to another amendment in a bit, but first, I'm going to try not to get heated. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I want to start with, I am not going to go with the argument of, well, they're not rock and roll, right? They're country, they're rap, they're this, they're that. Not gonna go with that. But that is a very valid argument that people make. Very accurate to argue that Eminem should not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because he's not rock and roll. Okay. That is not an unfair argument. I would say rock and roll is difficult to determine, and is Willie Nelson rock and roll? Well, he wrote songs for Elvis. Is Elvis rock and roll? First rock and roll song, first rock and roll hit, first song to chart that was rock and roll. When I was getting my latest, when I was in college this last time, the professor was actually a couple years older than me, that's all. And it was, I took a class that I didn't need. My advisor told me not to. I took it because I wanted to. I did this crazy thing. I went to college not to chase a degree or to get this and get that. No. I went to college so that I could learn. Right? That was my goal. I wanted to learn. So, I got to take an English class. Gotcha. Well, here's an English class that's a bit on the difficult side, but it focuses on scary stories, ghost stories, and how they've been culturally relocated throughout time. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street is a true news story that's Vietnamese. The Hmongs, they relocated to the States a lot in the Minnesota area. I know, I guess they wanted to go the exact opposite of what they were used to. Hot and sweaty to cold and frigid. But, shamans, the elders, there was an elder per village that his job was to fucking keep evil spirits from attacking you in your sleep. And these young people were just dying in their sleep, dying of fright. And it's been argued that it was because of the traumas they faced in Vietnam and the crazy relocation and everything was different. Yes. And it can be argued that because the shamans weren't there to protect them in their dreams. Yes. Maybe because they had shamans to protect them while they were sleeping, their brain became uniquely vulnerable to dying in their sleep because they had this mental protection that was taken away. Like how many people say, oh, if you fall in your dream, if you land, you'll die. In real life. Like if you actually hit the ground in your dream when you're falling, then you'll actually die. And they're not completely wrong. I mean, we all fall and jolt awake. It's possible that, that strong reaction could cause a health effect. But yeah, I know, rambling back today. I took that course because it was interesting, fascinating, and I was warned that it would be challenging. I thought it was an easy course because it didn't seem like I was taking a class. It just really seemed like I was listening. It was like I was watching YouTube videos about stoicism or shadow work, or one of those things that I find super interesting. So yeah, there's that. But my professor was like, hey, I think I gotta cancel class on next Thursday unless, if you'd be interested in, would you want to lecture the class, teach the class? Just go over this particular topic, and you're interesting and well spoken, and let them know that there's no test, nothing that they will be required, and don't even take attendance. If they want to leave, they can leave, but if they want to stay and discuss, it's like, yeah, absolutely. And again, it was a class I didn't need. I just did it because I liked it. But yes, first rock and roll song to chart, Ike Turner. That's where I stand. Now, it's not the answer I like the most. I would love to be like, no, Chuck Berry invented rock and roll. Chuck Berry. But when you look at the dates and times, facts of the matter is, by every measurement, we could say Chuck Berry was rock and roll. The same thing applies to Ike Turner, and he had to hit a song first. But this is in no particular order of the worst or the shittiest. And it's also not even close to complete. There's a million lists you can find of 100, 200, probably 5,000, whatever. Bands that, people that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and aren't. These are the ones that I particularly found egregious, and some of them shocking. And they're not all people that I like. Okay? So there's that. But to start off the list, Judas Priest. Yeah, Judas Priest. Right? Now, Metallica was heavily inspired by the new wave of British heavy metal. And Judas Priest is a big part of that. Like, I don't understand how they could not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It makes no sense to me. Like, there's no measurement that they should not be included. And the next one on the list, I'm going to try not to do this for all of them, but it's a bit reductive. But okay, Black Flag is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, yeah, they're a punk band. They were revolutionary. They were a big deal. And I know the Misfits get a lot of love, but the Misfits are like a steady rotation of studio musicians. Black Flag. If Sex Pistols are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then Black Flag should be. Just saying. The Ramones should be. And I believe they are, or they'd be on this list. If for some reason the Ramones are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then let me know, and I'll be deeply offended by that. But Black Flag belongs. They do. By the metrics that the Ramones are in, Black Flag has a good argument. Don't know if the microphone picks up. I'm right on the train track, so trains come by from time to time. This next one is insane. Iron Maiden is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let me repeat that. Iron Maiden is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Jay-Z is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Eminem is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Iron Maiden is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Iron fucking Maiden. If you're not shocked by that, then you are probably already upset about it. That is criminal. Motorhead. Not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Lemmy fucking Kilmister is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Motorhead. Nirvana is. But not Motorhead? Yeah, it's fucked up. Diana Ross. Yeah. Diana Ross is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, she is, because she was in, as a solo artist, she is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now again, Supremes are. Diana Ross is not. There is a difference. The New York Dolls are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This Twisted Sister in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They are. I'm going to be really busy. Yep. they will be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next month. Which, yeah, absolutely. But the New York fucking Dolls? Aerosmith put out a autobiography. The band came together and wrote an autobiography together. And they talk about the New York Dolls. They deserve the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame more than Nirvana and more than the Sex Pistols. But it's not, oh, they're in, so they should be in. I'm just saying, I don't understand how they're not. The Shangri-Las are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The leader of the pack. Remember, walking in the sand. Remember, yeah. Shangri-Las, they were instrumental in bringing female rock and roll. I mean, not to get into identity politics, but we're talking about one of the, girls kicking ass and rocking for the time period. Girls doing rock and roll, not love ballads. Yeah. Now, this is one not everyone's going to agree with, but I think Dick Dale belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I know Dick Dale. Yes, Dick Dale. Dick Dale is a fucking badass guitarist, and I would love to play some of the music, but I know how YouTube is. The Pulp Fiction theme, I'm not even gonna hum it because fucking YouTube. The Beach Boys, heavily inspired, right? Dick Dale changed music. Now, is it a popularity contest? If so, then no, Dick Dale should not be in. That also means a lot of people shouldn't be in. Is it influence? How influential someone is? Because there's some people, some somewhat obscure people that make it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because of how heavily influential they were. Dick Dale belongs in there. I think his bringing a style of music to rock and roll was important. Cher is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I thought that was surprising. Now, Cher has been at it for a long time. What's that? I want to say one of her first songs was Bang Bang. Shot My Baby Down. Bang Bang. And Gypsies, Liars, and Thieves. I mean, way back when rock and roll was still in its infancy, she was putting out songs. And the 80s was obviously big for Cher. This late 60s, early 70s was. She had a resurgence in the 2000s, and yeah, some of it was dance techno, some of it was bubblegum pop, some of it was new wave. Come on, she should be there. Now, there are two bands that I'm going to mention that are heavily connected. So, I brought them up a few times. Nirvana. I am a Nirvana fan. I am. I fucking hate Nirvana fans, though. My brother and I, we were so into music in the 90s, early 90s. Well, we still are now, but this was really when I was discovering what was my musical stylings, what was my preferences, right? So while my brother was very much into this, and my dad also heavily into music, very much into this, right? And they overlap a lot. My father has amazing taste in music. I am so grateful. Three Dog Night and ELO are two gifts he has given me. Electric Light Orchestra. Hey there, Mr. Blue from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's painful to say it that way, but yeah, that's ELO. Three Dog Night. I don't even know where to begin. Well, that comes from Dad. What he taught me. Now, what he didn't teach me intentionally, I got a hold of his Dr. Hook Dr. Hook records, and fuck. They also did an entire concert on Shel Silverstein's boat. Just do yourself a favor and check out Dr. Hook. You may not like it, you may not love it, but I guarantee you will enjoy it, and it will give you a new perspective on things, certain things. But yeah, Nirvana. I really liked Nirvana. My brother liked them a little bit more, the Nevermind album, but then in utero he was like, yeah, they just turned into a stupid pussy wannabe punk band. And he was right. He was. And people made fun of Nirvana a lot. And then Kurt Blowbrains died of lead poisoning, and the same people that were talking shit were like, he changed my life, he was a poet. Shut up. They were a good band. They were like number 5 on the list for me, like number 7 for everyone else's. But you had Pearl Jam, most people's number 1. They weren't my number 1. Soundgarden was my number 1. They were in everyone's top 5, but Soundgarden is my number 1 from that style. My brother's number 1 is Alice in Chains. Yeah. I mean, Pearl Jam was up there. Neither Soundgarden nor Alice in Chains is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They had more hits than Nirvana. They started before Nirvana. They lasted after Nirvana. I mean, Soundgarden but then asked my brother about Alice in Chains, and was like, now again, they're both amazing, and I love them both dearly. Soundgarden's mine. Alice in Chains is my brother's. And they both deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now there's the big 4 in American heavy metal, right? You've got Metallica. Screwed Dave Mustaine over. He helped start that band. You've got Megadeth. You've got Anthrax. Standalone, totally different from all the others. They were like, you got, of the big four, you got three from the West Coast, and you got Anthrax, who's from hell. No, I mean, this East Coast New Yorkers and, you know, punk, rap, metal, who gives a shit? They just do whatever they want. And yeah, I respect Anthrax a lot. I like Anthrax. And when they're good, they're good. Sometimes they're not so good. But even then, I respect the hell out of them. But there's the fourth one of the big four. The one I don't like. Never cared for him. The only good thing they had going was Kerry King, and Kerry King was just a weak, pussy version of Dave Mustaine. I mean, Anyway, Slayer, not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't want them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't. But they deserve to be there. They're one of the big four. I would vote them in. And I fucking hate Slayer. Hate them. Absolutely fucking hate them. And I'd vote them in because it's wrong to not. Now this is a controversial one. Wu-Tang Clan. Now, right away, when you go, well, they're rap. Okay. So is Jay-Z. So is Eminem. And Beyonce will be voted in by 2025. I know it. You know it. Right? Dr. Dre's in there. I'm pretty sure Snoop Dogg's in there. NWA's definitely in there. So yeah, they're rap. Got it. But since rap is in there, you gotta put in Public Enemy, you gotta put in Wu-Tang Clan, you gotta put in Run DMC, you gotta put in Digital Underground. I like putting things in 5, so not Sugar Hill Gang, but the 5th one, The Message. Ice Cube ripped off The Message. Right? Yeah. If you don't know who I'm talking about, that's okay. But if you do know who I'm talking about, tell me he doesn't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was 2007 when he was put in, by the way. But yeah, Wu-Tang Clan. I like them. I'm not a big fan. I like Run DMC a lot. I like Digital Underground a lot more. Grandmaster Flash is but yeah, I don't see a reason not to put Wu-Tang in. They fucking are a major cultural important part of rap music. And not just that, they are a particular part of rap music that was universal. See, young people may not remember, But rap music wasn't a race thing in the beginning. Rap was a New York poverty thing. It was Queens. It was Brooklyn. Mostly Queens, I thought. But I'm not going to argue. Beastie Boys were a major rap group in the early days. I mean, Crush Groove, right? And let's not forget the two people who made rap what it is. Russell Simmons, Rick Rubin. They're not the same race. Rap wasn't a race thing in the beginning. Rock and roll was. And this is, something that makes me chuckle. Rock and roll was a black thing back in the day. And then some white boys got a hold of it, and you can take Little Richard songs and put a white boy doing it, and now everyone can listen to it on the radio. But they preferred Little Richard. Rock and roll really brought people together. It did. And rap started out as some white boy and black kid fucking in a dorm room taking this New York music they dig and sharing it with the world. Rap was never about race. Now, I'm not a huge fan of rap because of the late 90s. It really poisoned it on me. Now, in the late 80s, being in Germany, we would, Dad take us to the bowling alley, and we'd get the best pizza in the world. It even counts as pizza. This greasy fucking fantastic. And there was no MTV for us. It existed in the States and in some countries, but we didn't have access to it. But at the bowling alley, they had music that would play with videos. We never saw the videos, we just heard the music. Like, I thought Prince was white. Also, half those Prince songs I thought was a woman. Like, Prince has like 1,000 songs, and I didn't realize they were all the same motherfucker. It's like, wait a minute, what? Love that song. That's Prince? Oh, wow. Oh, I love that song too. That's Prince too? What the hell? Yeah, it was just, you heard the song. And Dad loved rock and roll. Dad loved funk. Dad loved what would eventually become rap. I mean, we're fucking rocking out to Kool in the Gang. And it wasn't, these people listen to this and these people listen to that. No. Growing up, like, in the 80s, in Germany, I did not know that Americans were racist. I didn't know that. I thought that ended, like, in the 60s, right? Because my best friend, who I first person I ever stayed the night with, black kid. My brother's best friend was an Eskimo. A straight up legit fucking Eskimo. Funny story, they were both named Anthony. One went by Anthony, one went by Tony. Which one do you think went by what? But yeah, we were all... There was a line in the sand drawn. But it wasn't the black guys here, the white guys here, the Jews here, the Catholics here, the Baptists here. No. It was, we are American. Black Americans, white Americans, fucking red Americans, yellow Americans, fuck that, whatever. We're Americans. We live in this fucking apartment building in the middle of fucking German town where the Germans hate us and they're breaking beer bottles off and sticking them in the sand. So there was no separating us. We were together hating the fucking asshole Germans. And then, moved to America. First time that, I'm old enough to realize. And it's like, what do you mean? Black? Yeah, he's black. Why? What do you mean? Why would that matter? What the fuck is wrong with you? What is this, 1950? You go home and it's like, Mom, Dad, you will not believe the craziest thing happened. It's like, yeah, that's the thing. Still? What the hell? I know. Yeah, Wu-Tang Clan was... The white heavy metal kids love Wu-Tang Clan. The fucking Filipino kids in Baltimore fucking loved Wu-Tang. Although, Ronaldo did not like ODB. So Carissa, they transcended a genre of music. They transcended race. You got a bunch of black East Coast dudes who are super into kung fu movies and really dig late 60s, early 70s blues. Yeah. Wu-Tang belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Smashing Pumpkins aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Why not? I mean, shit. Were they not culturally significant? They were. Were they not popular? Oh, they were. Well, what did they contribute? They were a Chicago blues band with alternative rock vibes, succeeding in a time where everyone else was a Seattle grunge vibe. And they pulled in this American blues vibe with this Eastern European vibe, and yeah, they altered, they were the counterbalance. They should be there. Jethro Tull. I like Jethro Tull. Jethro Tull, he's like Blue Oyster Cult in the wrong decade. But he won the first heavy metal Grammy. I don't know my glasses. He won the first heavy metal Grammy, which was stupid. There was and this is telling my age, there was this band chick. And her and I did not... We had a lot of differences. And we really didn't quite. We weren't a good match, but we were friends. And I don't know. Jethro Tull. She got into her dad's records and she fell in love with the band Jethro Tull. I was like, I know them. Yeah, my dad's got those records. And we bonded and formed a substantial relationship that affected us both. I'm not talking about dirty stuff. I mean, it affected us both and opened both of us up to other types of people that we generally would not have associated with. Because Jethro Tull is that weird in the middle thing. He bridges the gap between this and that. The last Bill and Ted movie, the latest one I should say, Bill and Ted 3, right? Face the Music. The daughters, they are Jethro Tull. They're like, they touch all the bases. They know enough about everything to fit into any crowd. That's Jethro Tull. I mean, you can't categorize them, which is why they ended up winning a fucking heavy metal Grammy. Don't worry, I am on the last page of this. Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, Thin Lizzy did a lot of great stuff. They were just end all be all. Just the cowboy song, just as an example, is enough to get them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just top notch. Now, the lead singer died young. Died on his mother's couch. What age was Philip when he died? I mean, it's fucked up how young he was when he died. Fuck you. Yeah. He wasn't even close to 40 yet, right? I mean, these guys... The band fell apart. But yeah, Whiskey in the Jar, right? The boys are back in town. Jailbreak. Waiting for an alibi, right? He was also lead singer of Skid Row, but we're not talking about him, we're talking about the band. They should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will never... It won't matter completely without Thin Lizzy in it. It's like having a Baseball Hall of Fame without Pete Rose. It's fucked up bullshit. Now, Willie Nelson is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Should he be? Cultural significance. I know they'll throw rappers in left and right, but they don't throw in country. Which, again, sure, but Elvis sang some of these songs. Willie Nelson, yeah, if Johnny Cash is in, Willie Nelson should. He deserves it. But if you want to be like, well, he's country, he doesn't belong. Technicality, fine, I guess. Warren Zevon is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? How the fuck did that one happen? Shit's fucked up. So, Warren Zevon's song. He should be. If you don't think he should be, give me a real reason. Because I can't think of one. Iggy Pop is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Oh, I know. The Stooges are. The Stooges are. Yeah. Who matters more, the Stooges or Iggy Pop? Just saying. Oh yeah, the Stooges started, yes, and fell apart, and Iggy Pop picked up the fucking mantle. The Godfather of Punk is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Sex Pistols are? Come on. Come on! Now, I still don't believe this one, so I need to go back and double check. But on my notes, Ozzy Osbourne? Black Sabbath is, but Ozzy's not as a solo artist? I gotta double check. Double check. Maybe they fixed this shit. Inducted in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, projected 2029? As a member of Black Sabbath, yeah. So Eminem is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Ozzy fucking Osbourne is not? I just assumed I had that one wrong. Alright, two more. Benny King is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? Benny King? Who's Benny King? Way back in the day, right? But yeah, if the night should come and the land goes dark, Stand By Me. He should fucking be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And the last one. Now, I personally believe Lita Ford should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Runaways aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Joan Jett is. Lita Ford should be. But there are people that have made real fucking explanations, and fine. But I dare you to tell me why Pat Benatar is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And if you can give me a reason that doesn't apply to Joan Jett, then you're probably lying. Alright, now. I need to utilize the restroom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a video of mine. And then when I get back, I'm going to finish up the stream, go over the last amendment, and then do my well-wishing. And I'm frozen. There we go. Hey. This is a terrible idea for a video. But I am the proper level of drunk to handle it. Or I am the absolute wrong level of drunk and way too emotional, and it's going to turn into a rant. Let's just see how the video turns out, I guess. What I would like to discuss is mental wellness, or behavioral health is what we called it in the military. It applies to issues like depression. Now, depression affects every person differently, and the treatments for such, they work differently on every patient. So, if you are expecting me to give you the cure, or tell you how to fix it, or the best treatment, sorry, you should watch cat videos instead. Because if I knew the cure, I wouldn't have these issues myself. This much I can say, though. I do know this to be true. Reaching out for help has a much higher success rate than trying to do it alone. That much I do know. Hopefully that's good for something. So, I have issues with depression, anxiety, and they say that it's wrapped up in PTSD. Now, I'm not a fan of that terminology. I don't like the phrasing PTSD. But big picture, what really matters is it's not about what they call it. As long as they're taking it seriously and you're being offered the help that you need, then they can call it whatever the fuck they want, as far as I'm concerned. Now, the way I am being treated for this stuff is I have a cocktail of medication. Yes, this is what I keep it in. And a Planters mixed nuts container. Because cuckoo. I'm nuts. Anyways, gotta refill this. This is for anxiety. Ooh, this one's for anxiety too. This is for pain management. Depression. Depression. And blood pressure.
Gotta refill that one too. You may notice I get a lot less medication for being a worthless cripple than I do for being an unlovable, crazy person. But this is what I take. This is what works for me. It wasn't the first medications I tried. It took a while to get the right combination, the right cocktail. And if you take my perfect set of meds, it's probably going to be worthless for you. And if you take the time to get the perfect medications for you, pretty good chance they will be worthless for me too. The other important part of my treatment is therapy. I really think therapy helps me with many of my issues. It gives me someone to talk to that's not going to judge me. Now, I have had some terrible, terrible head shrinkers. It made things much, much worse. And I've had some really good therapists that have helped me confront some issues and help me live a healthier life. Kind of like the medications. You just gotta find the right one. If it's not making you better, change. At least, that's what I've done. I think the biggest problem many of us face
Right. So yes, I like that video. I don't watch it much, and every time I do, I go, I fucking hate that video. It's so terrible, but it's honest. So it's honest. Alright, so I would like to did the Hall of Fame. I want to talk about, and man, I timed this badly because I wanted to go out on a positive. Well, this is positive, but it's not exciting. So I'm gonna wing it after this. I want to talk about the 17th Amendment of the Constitution. That's right. Now, people are like, oh, that attacks our democracy. We're a democracy. Well, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. Democracies fail. Republics fail. So, when you set up a set of government with checks and balances, where you have a democracy and a republic, right? Then you can get the best of both. So, the 17th Amendment of the United States Constitution covers the election of senators. Now, I am passionately against this. I also believe it will never change. I believe we already shit on the bed, and you will never get the stain out. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state. Yes. For 6 years. Yes. Each senator shall have 1 vote. Yes. They will be elected by the people. No. No. Now, it goes on to be like, well, in the event of an absence and blah, blah, blah. But here's my problem. We should not vote for the senator. We shouldn't. I'm going to ask a series of questions. You don't have to answer me, but answer yourself. Do you live in the United States? Yes or no? What state do you live in? Simple. Who is the congressman for that part of the state that represents you? You should know the answer, but it's not awful if you don't. What senators do you have in your state? You only get 2. Who's your state representative? What person represents your community voting at the state capitol to dictate laws? See, these are the people that have the most effect on you in your day-to-day life. Your city council, your state representative, your state senators. Those are the ones who have the most control over your life. Those are the ones you probably can't name. You don't care about them. You only care about the national level. Why? Because you all want to have the same news. You all want to have the same stuff. You elect your congressman, as it should be. You choose someone to go to Washington, D.C. and represent your community. You live in the state of Texas, so you've got 24 senators, or 24 congressmen, one to represent each sliver of the state, constituting a certain number of people. Cool. That congressman represents you when talking to the president. Now, the state makes laws too. And you choose for this county, this town, this sliver of the state, people to dictate what we want. You speak for me, talking to the governor. Well, I believe, and I'm right, and everyone knows I'm right if they actually sit down and think about it. But the senators, 2 senators per state, they should be chosen by the governor. Should propose, this is who I want for the Senate, and then the state representatives for each community votes yes or no. Oh, but don't I get to say yes? You choose someone to represent you for the state you live in. You choose someone to represent you to the state for your community. Senators don't represent you. Senators represent your state. That's it. We should not choose the senators. We should choose our state representatives. We should choose our congressmen. The state government is represented by the senators. We, as individuals, are represented by Congress. These are the checks and balances that are set up. This is why we're a democratic republic, not a democracy. Democracy is stupid. 60% of the people think that the government should come in and kick you in the face. Right. That's not right. That. I don't care what all those stupid people say. Then why would you want them to represent your individual? You as an individual addressing the government, that's Congressman. But you also want the individuals to choose who represents the state? No. That amendment needs to be repealed. It would also make state elections actually fucking matter to people. But since I don't want to end on a downer, on a negative note, I had someone suggest to me last night to do something called shadow work. Now, this sounds a little philosophical and whatnot, but basically, the idea is that think of the ego and the id, right? You are presenting yourself and trying to be this. This is my goal of who I want to be. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to achieve. And that's good. Be positive. But there is a part of you that is negative. There is your shadow. While you're standing in the light, trying to feel good and cleanse yourself and improve, you leave behind a shadow. See, there are negative parts of you. And it's very easy to be like, well, that's not me. That's this, that's that. It is part of you. It's the bad part of you. Don't ignore it, but don't let it take over. If you can separate who I want to be, who I'm trying to be, with who I'm scared I could be, and all my negative stuff, right? Separate them. There's you, and then there's the shadow you, right? That way you can own all your negative stuff without letting it drag you down. acknowledge what you have done bad, and acknowledge the parts of you that you don't like. But still strive to improve. It's just like, as I said about history, you gotta take the good and the bad. If you ignore the bad, he who ignores history is doomed to repeat it. Something along those lines. If you give an excuse and write off why you did something wrong, what stopped you from doing it again? But also, if you look at all the bad about you and you focus on that, you're in danger of starting to believe that's who you are. No, that's your shadow. I am really looking at improving myself. And a big part of that is what are you doing to improve yourself, those around you, your situation? What are you trying? What are you failing? What are you learning from your failures? That is much more important than, well, I'm doing this right. Good for you. I did this wrong. I'm such an awful piece of shit. There's got to be a middle ground. There's got to be a healthier way to battle your demons without battling yourself. So, shadow work. I would advise getting on YouTube and pulling up Shadow Work Jordan Peterson. And that's a helpful starting point, I hope. Anyways, I very much appreciate you taking the time to check in and listen to me ramble. I do hope that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame topic was interesting, and at least parts of it got you annoyed. The Major Rathbone. Mental health is important. One of the most important things to learn from this entire stream is that no matter what happens, no matter what, you can always depend on one thing in life.